All right, so I'm going to use this video to go a little bit more in depth about the evolution of the 3-4 defense, which is going to be run by 17 of the 32 teams this season, which is pretty incredible considering the scheme became extinct in the 1990s. So a little history to start. Bud Wilkinson brought the 3-4 defense into the college game in the 1950s when Oklahoma ran the triple stack defense, but the scheme didn't make it into the pro game until the 1970s when Patriots head coach Chuck Fairbanks and Oilers defensive coordinator Bum Phillips introduced it to the NFL. And when New England and Houston went from bottom dwellers to upper echelon franchises, more and more teams reverted to the 3-4, and by 1980, 19 of the 28 teams were running it. The Giants really brought it to prominence in the 1980s, and the system made Lawrence Taylor into a superstar. Bill Parcells had experience with the scheme in New England, as did some assistant coach named Bill Belichick, who learned it in Denver. The 3-4 made coaches rethink how to best take advantage of their pass rushers with or without their hand on the ground. The 3-4 began to fall into extinction in the 1990s due to the innovation of diverse offenses such as the West Coast and one-back systems. There were more blockers along the line of scrimmage, more shotgun formations, and, teams went away from it. But then Dick LeBeau brought the zone blitz concept into the NFL, and the 3-4 awoke from the dead in the early to mid-2000s. And 2004 was LeBeau's first year as the returning defensive coordinator in Pittsburgh after a failed head coaching stint with the Cincinnati Bengals. And in 2004, 4 of the 5 teams that ran a 3-4 were in the top 11 of total defense. The Patriots had just won a 3rd title in 4 years. The Steelers led the NFL in defense, and the Chargers ranked just 18th, but that was a drastic improvement from 27th the year before. We all know the NFL is a copycat league, and with the success of the Patriots and Steelers, 8 teams went to the 3-4 10 years ago in 2005, and that total has now been risen to 17. Instead of telling you what I look for in a 3-4 linebacker, let me just quickly get into some differences between the 4-3 defensive end and 3-4 outside linebacker. The 4-3 defensive end plays with their hand in the dirt, are usually 280 to 300 pounds. They don't drop back in coverage the way a 3-4 outside linebacker does. From a scouting perspective, it's easier to find athletic linebackers in a 3-4 than it is a pass rushing defensive end. The 4-3 outside linebacker, going into them too as well, is faster than the 3-4 backer because they need to cover more of the field. They're responsible for a 3rd instead of a 4th, and that's a huge difference. But the 3-4 outside linebacker blitzes twice as much as the 4-3 one does. So just a little basic kind of stuff there for you guys. All right, so again, those are some basic distinctions. Now let's get into the list. And Justin Houston is number 1. This guy is unbelievable. 22 sacks a year ago, just a half sack shy of Michael Strahan's single-season mark. In fact, with 48.5 sacks over the past 4 years, only J.J. Watt has more. But Houston is a lot more than a one-trick pony. But let's talk about his pass rushing first because the numbers are remarkable. He had just 8 quarterback hits and 56 hurries. Why are the 8 quarterback hits important? Because, with 22 sacks, that tells me once he gets close to the quarterback, he seals the deal. And like I said, Houston is a complete player. His discipline in run defense is outstanding considering his threat as a pass rusher. He's very aware and instinctive, fantastic at setting the edge, and with his remarkable strength, he does a great job of tackling and taking the ball carrier down to the ground. As you can imagine, due to his ability to get after the quarterback, he's not asked to drop into coverage a lot, but when he does, he can hold his own. He gets physical with tight ends, and he has the fluidity to drop back in zone coverage. Von Miller, living that Miller high life, is number 2 on my list, and honestly, you can go with either Houston or Miller at number 1, and I wouldn't have a problem with it, but I think Houston's a little bit more versatile. Miller's transitioning from a 4-3 strong side linebacker to a 3-4 backer with the addition of Wade Phillips as the defensive coordinator. The Broncos ran a 4-3 hybrid scheme with minimal blitzing, but we all know how much Phillips likes getting after the quarterback. Despite being in a 4-3 over previous years, Miller hasn't been asked to cover often. Pass rushing is his specialty. He mixes speed, agility, and strength with a wide variety of moves to get pressure on the quarterback. He's had at least 11.5 sacks in 3 of his first 4 seasons, including 14 last year. Miller missed the final 7 games in 2013 due to an ACL tear. Miller has improved drastically as a run defender, whether he's setting the edge or crashing down. He sheds blocks. Like I said before, he doesn't cover a lot, but when he does, he actually isn't really that bad. It's not a strength. Basically, he'd play zone to take away tight ends or routes close to the line of scrimmage. And, yeah, that's that. Clay Matthews is number 3. Last season, he showed how versatile he really can be, moving over to inside linebacker out of necessity 2/3 into the season due to the scarcity of depth at the position. And he played really, really well there as an inside backer. But we all know Clay is best, on the outside. He also played all 16 games last year for the first time since 2009. Posted 11 sacks. He's relentless in pursuit. I mean, this guy's great, great player. There's nobody that can come around and bend the edge the way Matthews does. First step is, ridiculously quick. In run defense, he wins with leverage. In pass defense, the one thing that I was really impressed with when he played inside was his ability to step up in coverage and take away the crossing routes. All right, Aldon Smith checks in at number 4, but, I did these rankings before his latest arrest. I don't even think the guy's going to play this season. Obviously, we all know about his demons off the field. I'm not going to get into all the shenanigans here. It's just, unfortunate how a man of his talent is going to waste. He had just 2 sacks last season in what was essentially a throwaway year after being suspended the first 9 games. But this is a guy who put up 14 sacks his rookie year and 19.5 his sophomore campaign. So basically, I think this number 4 ranking is justified by what I've seen. But, the last 2 seasons have been disappointing, no doubt. And this year, Jesus, what's going to happen with him now? Who knows? He's one of the more athletic and fluid outside linebackers. He has a massive, massive wingspan to go with a terrific burst off the line of scrimmage. He's one of the few that can get to the quarterback using both his speed and power. That massive wingspan helps him tremendously in the running game because his reach allows him to make tackles that others can't. He doesn't set the edge as well as some of the other outside linebackers in my top 10, though. And like Miller in Houston, Smith doesn't drop back in coverage often due to his ability to rush the passer. Ryan Kerrigan is number 5. He was just rewarded with a 5-year, $57.5 million contract. Makes him the 3rd highest paid linebacker in the entire league. He notched 13.5 sacks a year ago, the first time in his 4-year career that he's reached the double-digit mark. Very, very quick first step, but also the power to, also has the power to bull rush a tackle. His motor runs, extremely hot. He's a reliable tackler, uses leverage to get under blocks and make plays in the run game. In the passing game, he does a very good job of knocking passes down at the line of scrimmage. All right, so I got a couple dinosaurs with my next 3 linebackers. Each one is over 30, and let's start with Terrell Suggs, who's number 6. Father Time, though, hasn't slowed him down. He's 32 now. He's still notched double-digit sack totals in 4 of his past 5 seasons, including 12 a year ago. He's got a lot of moves in his repertoire as a pass rusher. He has the length, burst, strength, knows how to play with leverage, and as good of a pass rusher as Suggs is, he may even be better as a run defender. His IQ and instincts are extraordinary, so he's always in position, and his length and strength make it difficult for a back to break free from his grasp. Suggs' teammate Elvis Dumervil is number 7, and honestly, he's always been kind of an overlooked quantity. He put up 17 sacks in his 2nd season in Baltimore a year ago. He may be undersized, but his lightning-quick speed, even still as a 31-year-old, is remarkable. He understands angles, and his intelligence helps him elude blockers, and he really does, get really, really low center of gravity. Due to his diminutive size, however, he does struggle a little bit in run defense, but due to his speed, he's very adept in pursuit of the backside runs. Last of my 30-year-olds on this list, Tamba Hali, who's ranked 8th, although he tallied just 6 sacks a year ago and has been, steadily declining a little bit over recent years. He's still a very versatile player, and his ability allows Houston to not have to face as many double teams. And the harping on the 6 sacks, they could have been more, but Houston would close in on the quarterback first, but, Hali would be in position. As a pass rusher, Hali's always, had a high motor, and when he was at his best, his quickness and counter moves led to his success. He's excellent at setting the edge in run defense and in coverage. He's, very effective at dropping back, allowing just one completion all of last season. Junior Galette checks in at number 9. The Saints rewarded Galette with a 4-year, $41 million contract last year, but released him recently due to a video that shows a man that looks like him beating a woman with a belt. Galette's attorney has stated that his client is not the one in the video, and the Redskins deemed him worthy enough to sign him to the league minimum for this season. It was a great get from a talent perspective, and he'll fill in for the oft-injured Bjoern Werner, who signed with the Tennessee Titans. So Kerrigan, once again, has a dynamic pass rusher on the other side. Galette has reached double-digit sack totals in consecutive seasons. Athletic, really quick first step. Pernell McPhee rounds out my top 10. He's been an overlooked stud on the Baltimore Ravens for years, and the Chicago Bears are hoping he'll be a key cog in their defensive overhaul after signing him to a 5-year, $38.75 million contract in March. Many of you may wonder, why I have McPhee in the top 10, although he started just 6 games in his 4-year career. The stats don't really jump out at you. He had just 7.5 sacks to go with 27 tackles and 4 passes defense. But when I turn on the tape, I see a versatile hybrid power rusher who can rush off either side, and I love the violent type of style he plays. He really knows how to use his length and strength. He sinks his hips, drives opposing tackles backwards. He had 21 quarterback hits and 35 hurries to go with those 7.5 sacks. His run defense is what puts him in the top 10. He locks up blockers using his strength. He does a fantastic job of setting the edge and limiting a ball carrier from bouncing runs along the perimeter. He explodes, closes quickly, rarely misses tackles. Does struggle a little bit in coverage. He doesn't have the agility and fluidity to flip his hips and run. But overall, really solid player. Julius Peppers is 11th. DeMarcus Ware 12th. Robert Mathis 13th. Connor Barwin 14th. Brandon Graham 15th. Derrick Morgan 16th. Brian Orakpo 17th. Paul Kruger 18th. Aaron Lynch 19th. And Barkevious Mingo number 20. Mathis is top 5 if he can fully recover from his torn Achilles, but he is 34 and isn't expected to be back until late September, early October. He had 19.5 sacks in 2013. Barwin and Graham are very, very underrated in Philadelphia. Barwin is a jack of all trades. He can rush, set the edge, cover and bat balls down at the line of scrimmage. He's great instincts. Graham, meanwhile, will finally get his chance to start after being stuck behind Trent Cole all these years. He's always been a solid pass rusher and run stuffer, but his coverage skills, are the things that have improved over the years and what put him this high on my list. Some of you guys might actually think he should be higher. I know you guys, Eagles country, like him a lot. The Titans pair of Morgan and Orakpo really intrigued me. The former first-rounder Morgan plays with good instincts and his motor is always running. Orakpo is super talented, but he hasn't stayed on the field in 2 of his last 3 years in Washington. His agility and strength make him a really, really good pass rusher. Jadeveon Clowney is 24th. He was limited to just 146 snaps last season due to microfracture surgery, and many have questioned his passion for the game. From a physical perspective, he's a once-in-a-generation type of specimen, a perfect blend of size, strength, and athleticism. So, we'll see if he can kind of put it together this season because J.J. Watt could use some help. Some underrated names to keep an eye on: Quentin Coples at 29, Jeremiah Tauchu at 31, and Armani Bryant at 37. Atauchu's the guy that I really like. In the limited snaps that I saw with him in San Diego, really liked his skills as a pass rusher. So we'll see if he can take that step forward this season. So that's it for this video. You got a lesson history from me. I got my rankings. So this should be an interesting one. Make sure you debate me below if you got any gripes with the list. Who's your top 5? Who's your top 10? Let me know. So that's it for this one. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at TheBitterBirds. I'm out of here. Later.